We are very glad that you took some time out of your day today to join us for Modernizing Public Access, Portals, Transparency, and Community Engagement. So today's topic, public access, kind of two questions, why, what is it about public access? What are the issues out there in play? And then also, what can ICC do to help you with that? So basically, residents more now today than ever expect self-service, like anywhere else in their lives. A common story I like to tell is about how we have multiple generations now who have grown up with devices where they can do something like track a pizza delivery from the time they place the order and click send till the time it arrives at their door. Something as trivial as a pizza can be tracked from start to finish. Yet, in complicated development projects, the processes we go through, the procedures that they often need to understand, the code content they need to understand, is often seen as being hard to get, not easy to understand, requires a lot of pull versus push processes for users. So this is really about convenience and meeting people where they are today, basically with the rest of their lives. It's not a theory, it's a reality they live in. Every question that comes into a jurisdiction, like where's my permit, what's the next step, those questions pull staff off of higher value work or other tasks they could be doing if we could simply make that information easily accessible for them. So public portals let residents self-serve. Things like status checks, applications, document requests, code lookups, things that don't necessarily need high value subject matter expertise staff to pass along. This transparency will increase trust when constituents get what they want and need and don't have to beg for it or try to pull it, when it's rather pushed to them. The goal in providing this to the public is fewer interruptions for our staffs. We're always being asked to at the local government jurisdictional level, we're constantly being asked to do more with less. This is how we can do it, employing technical solutions with trusted providers to provide faster answers with more transparency. The benefits to the staff are huge. Fewer calls and fewer walk-ins, unplanned time. A lot of times you get back to your office, you finally had planned to get some work done at the office, and that's when your walk-ins come in, and you just can't anticipate all of those inquiries that are coming in. Where if we offer that 24/7 365 access, people can self-help when and where they need it. So these solutions also offer faster permit application turnarounds with less manual follow-up. We can provide answers to FAQs. We can provide built-in transparency, reducing public records requests. So this is really multi-departmentals. It often crosses over into multiple departments when you have processes as complicated as the development process. We can provide consistent, accurate info delivered without staff repeating themselves over and over again. Like I mentioned, FAQs, you can put that information that through experience is accessed over and over and over again in a simple push process to feed out to people at the natural points in the development process where they need that information. All in all, this will result in happier residents with far less staff burnout. So now, why listen to what ICC has to say about this? And the way we think about this is code content and accurate code content is always at the center of all of the development processes. Code content's guaranteed up to date through any solutions that ICC offers through APIs. And ICC has the subject matter expertise in this field. It always has, it always will. We are invested. We're the source for much of the training, accreditation that's happening in jurisdictions. We have dedicated staff whose mission it is to help communities improve service and build more sustainable, more safe, more complete communities. So this is a quick picture of the ICC Innovation ecosystem to give you an idea of how many different types of solutions throughout the community development processes are available through ICC. And moving from left to right is basically emulating the code development process, starting out at code compliance pre-application functions like code research and databases. ICC Digital Codes Premium, where all of the iCodes that are adopted in your state or local jurisdiction are available online. Um, Thousands and thousands of municipal codes, including zoning, UDCs, UDOs, land use code, available in eCode 360 and ICC Code Solutions. We're going to be talking a little bit today about MapLink, which is an interactive zoning map that improves access to zoning codes and understanding those essential zoning elements that are sometimes hard for folks to find in great big huge zoning codes. And ICC's AI Navigator, where you can use plain language questions to get answers about zoning codes. Moving to the right, we also offer through partnerships with wonderful providers like Archistar, compliance checks and completeness checks using AI technology, AI pre-checks, moving into final plan approval, permitting, remote inspection, Municity, which you're going to see a little bit today. Partnered up with DigiPlan, which is full plan review software integrated through a partnership. Moving over to public records access, Municity, and Laserfish. We're also going to see a demo today on Laserfish. Moving right through post-project code enforcement, regular code enforcement supported by Municity and Laserfish. So you're going to see demos today on MapLink, Municity, and Laserfish, which is only a part of the whole solution suite that ICC Innovation offers. And ICC Innovation solutions are always backed up foundationally by the professional development and membership that ICC offers its members, and all of that foundation of the codes. So anytime you're talking about any solutions that reference code content, you always want to ask the question, where is the code coming from? When you work with an ICC solution, you can guarantee that whether it be municipal code or whether it be iCodes, it's always the latest up-to-date code, including the latest of updates, errata. You can be sure that you're working with the most up-to-date, accurate codes. So just a little bit before we get into our demos, we're going to talk about what's upcoming. So Wednesday, September 9th, we're going to be talking about AI for local government. That's going to be a very popular session. AI is a very hot topic that ICC definitely has a stake in and a position. Transforming your clerk's office, digital workflows, records, and citizen service, Tuesday, September 22nd. Mobile inspections with Municity. That is an on-demand webinar, so that will be available online for you to take a look at, along with Municity for modern digital permitting, which is also recorded and online for access. So we'll be ready to move on over to demonstrations now. The first demonstration will be Municity. That will be Maria Dalal hosting that. Then Maria will kick it over to Brian Hoodie, who's going to give you a demonstration on Laserfish. And then I will follow up with a demonstration on MapLink. So I will turn it over to Maria. Take it away.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that introduction. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is going to be Municity. So Municity, you may know as our permitting code enforcement solution. It also addresses things like licensing, another type of permittings for DPW departments, health departments, inspections, all that good stuff. But one of the great focuses of Municity is our citizen portal. It's built right into the program. It allows you as the jurisdiction to turn on and off a public presence. And that public presence, which we'll talk about today, can range from just transparency in terms of allowing the public to look up a parcel and see what's happening on it, to online payments or application services or reporting. So we're going to talk about that today before I kick it over to my colleague Brian to talk about Laserfish. So What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you from the staff position or the staff portal. That is where you're going to be able to set up that public portal, and then we'll see how it transitions into the public setting for a public user, just your basic constituent coming in to see what they can do. So Unicity, as many of you know, is a cloud-based program. So that means it's going to be accessible anywhere with an internet connection point. Everyone who's using this program is going to be assigned a username password with their permissions profile. The permissions profile is going to give us access to various parts of the program. That is where you're going to be able to set up your public access users. So I am going to navigate over to the left-hand side here, and there's a section called admin. That is where Municity site users, your staff users, are going to be able to configure your different user profiles here. So what you can do is come in here and we can make even a public user, think mine are read only here. And that allows you to go through each item that you're capturing in Municity. So this is an A to Z um, alphabetizing here. So I can go through every application, I can go through amendments, I can go through certificate access, and I can choose, can you read it, can you see it, can you report on it? And that's going to allow us to create a very specific permissions base for your public users when they register for your website to submit applications, pay fees, and all of that. You will also see here that there is a dedicated section for Municity site settings, and there's a button here that says Citizen Site Settings. So this is new for Municity. I can come in here, and what this is going to do, and we'll start from the top and we'll work our way down. I, as the staff user, can choose whether or not I'm going to turn on or off citizen access. So that will give you the ability to take down the public portal. Maybe if you need to change messaging or make some fee adjustments before you offer it online again, you can do so. You can take it off temporarily, you can pull it up. Citizen status change notifications. This is how you can opt in the public to receive any sort of notification of what they've submitted to you. So this would be, I make an application online, the town or village or city approves it, I get an automated email with that status change. They will always have access to their information, which I'll show you and we'll go over. But this is essentially you opting them in to a subscription of emails for their online presence. If I scroll down a little bit further here, this is where you'll be able to choose the name of the public portal site, the title of your public portal site. You can put in your logos, any sort of background images. So this is where you can marry the branding of your public portal to your municipal website, where you may point your constituents for other information. And then down here is where you can construct a message. So you can put in here links, hyperlinks. You can put in here embedded videos as we have here. You can adjust the language here at any time. So if you're from a jurisdiction that maybe gets a lot of snow, you can, at those times of snow, throw up a message here that says, yes, we're well aware that the plows are running, to mitigate those phone calls of people calling and reporting snow removal. So this is a great resource for your staff to be able to come in here and make edits and communicate whatever they need to communicate to the larger public. There is also a show preview button here. This will give you a little preview window so you can see, pardon me, so you can see what your design looks like, and then save will save that portal so that you can see everything that's going on. Or I'm sorry, so that it will save your settings to that public site. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to switch over to the public site. This is how that page that we input all of that design and text, how that is going to appear. On the top right corner, this is where your public user is going to log in. They do have to register to your public portal site. So similar to how any person would create a profile for Walmart.com, for Target.com, so that I can make a purchase, track that purchase, and then set up a pickup or what have you. It's the same concept here. They're going to register for your municipal site, and they're going to be added to your address book. The site will prompt, so if this is already a homeowner or a contact in your system, a contractor that you've worked with previously, the user will be prompted to merge records. So you can ensure that the same person, John Crease here, is also John Crease in my historical permitting work that I've had for him. There are also down here, so the top half of the page is all of that design. So it has my title, it has the words I put in there, it has all of the video, it has that video link. And then as I scroll down here, we also have different buttons that are going to highlight for the constituent or the public user of what they can do. I'm going to flip back over to staff very briefly and go back to that admin section, because this can all be managed by the staff in terms of what buttons, what options are going to show up. If I go into setup entity types here, you have the ability to set your departments, whether those departments are going to be public, their hours of operations. Same thing with almost every single item that we configure within Municity. For example, if I go to my permits here and I open up my addition permit, maybe I want to make an edit to it. This is where you can control what department that permit is going to filter to when it comes from online. So this is a building permit. That's what my department button here indicates. And then if I scroll down here, there are public user options where I can publish. That means this permit is available for applying. Can the public renew this application? So once the application becomes a permit, are they allowed to renew that? Can users claim permits? So if I have a legacy contractor that just signed up for the site, can they pull in old permits that maybe aren't attached to their name, but they know the record of? And then you can choose, can a multiple of this type of permits be applied for on a parcel? All of those type of rules for your public access is all going to be maintained and controlled and changed from your staff portal site. Depending on the settings you put in here, that will dictate what shows up for your public in their button options. So as the public user, I can come in here and grab a department. So I'm going to be doing the building department. And now you'll see it's going to open up a menu for me of all of my different activities that I can conduct online. This will be completely up to you as the staff of what you are going to make available. We have some clients that only allow fee payment, some clients that have whittled down their list of available online applications to the heavy hitters so that they can mitigate some of the desk traffic. And then we have others that jumped in with both feet and throw everything online and get put up the notices to the public and give them the ability to go in and make their applications and their payments. So the beauty of this is it's totally scalable in terms of scaling up or scaling down. It's up to you on what your preference is for how you want to introduce these types of activities to your constituency. Once my public logs into here, I can apply for a permit. I can also submit complaints. So if you would like to intake high grass complaints, trash in the yard, they can make those applications. I have short-term rental applications available through here, as well as contractor license applications that we maintain through our municipality. So anything that I need to take a fee for and review and give you a certificate or a license or a permit, I can do that all through here. When your constituent is going to be making a decision, they can either claim an existing permit that requires them to know the permit number and address, or they can also apply for a brand new one, which will open up an online application. They also do have a couple of other tools in here that I want to show you. One is your property search. A property search is going to open up a generalized search for your public. This is going to be helpful for, again, mitigating those phone calls, mitigating those desk visits. You have a realtor that is wondering, hey, has there been work done on this property? This will allow your public to just start typing, and then the results of the parcels you have in your system will populate. And I can hit this link button, and that is going to open up the parcel for me. Now, you can construct your parcels in a way in which I, as the public user, can view information, but I can't edit anything. So as you can see, we have a public view group that is going to show, and this can be configured for you and show whatever types of fields here that you would like. So here I can see stuff like zone information. If there was any setback information, we can put parcel inventory information here, as well as any other kind of custom groups you might want to create. We have some clients that will have a couple of fields here that'll say, are chickens allowed, yes or no? And that way I don't have to field the phone calls of whether or not you can build a chicken coop. We can push them to the site. They can look up their information. It's all right here. If you would like, you can also turn on an items view. This is how I can view a history of permits that are on this property. I can see their status. So I can see there's an open change of zone application here. I can see what's been approved. And this is all accessible to me visually, information wise. So again, that real estate agent could come in here and view data. There's also a media tab, which allows you to make public certain documents. So if you wanted to make a history of certain types of permits or certificates available that somebody could come on here and see, you can do that. And then there's also a comments field. So this is available on parcels. This is available on permits. This is available on inspections. This is your off off the phone and off person, I suppose, um, communication. I hesitate to call it a chat because the other person doesn't need to be sitting here. They can communicate back with you if they're sitting there. So I would call it like a hybrid between an instant message and an email system. But what it does is it keeps it contained to the item we are on. So whether it's an application with questions or the parcel. So here I can ask a question to the staff. I have a question about something. We even have some little, emojis in here. And you can send that. And what that's going to do is it's going to notify the staff that there's a question, and then the staff will be able to get back to you. You'll be notified of it, etc. We also have that apply button here again. So if I want to make an application right off of my parcel, I can do so. So again, everything's pretty contained here. There's also a home button up here, which will bring me back. And then just a couple of other things before I turn it over to Brian. You can create these dashboards that'll be publicly available for your users. So what I mean by that is a report aggregate of everything that the public is working on. This is so me as John that I'm logged in with, I can come in here and I can see all of my applications that I've ever applied for in the system. If I'm a contractor that I work across multiple clients, maybe I work across multiple jurisdictions, and for this particular town, I have a lot of clients and I want to search by address, or I want to search by status, or I want to search by permit type. I'm able to do all of that from my dashboard here, where I can view and see what has outstanding fees. I can see what has an outstanding question, outstanding inspection, etc. I can export this to a CSV or a Excel document if I wanted to take a list with me, maybe to work or something. But all of that information here is accessible. I can open up these applications to see what's going on with them. So here I can see the status. I can come into the media tab, see if they left anything for me, see if there's any comments for me. So I have access to all of my information where I can ask questions, upload extra information, or maybe I'm just doing a quick check because I forgot I made this application and I'm wondering what's going on with it. And then they also do have a map. So what we have here is a nice GIS viewer This is going to connect to whatever kind of GIS parcel source that you may want us to utilize for Municity. So this can be a county map. This can be if you're from a jurisdiction that has an engineering department that's worked on some proprietary mapping layers for you, like maybe park benches, signs, etc. That's all in here as well. There's different display options. So if I wanted to choose information and click on a parcel, it'll give me the information that's pulled from the GIS. Or if I wanted to see the property view from within Municity, I can tap on the parcel and I can open that parcel up from here. So we give them a lot of information tools. As the municipality, it is up to you to determine what type of capabilities they'll have in here, how much agency you want them to have, how much freedom. At the bare minimum, they can pay fees through here and view statuses. We have plenty of clients that do that, but you can also, of course, scale it up to share as much information as you would like, intake information and such. Before I turn it to Brian, I just want to show you on your end as the staff, you also have access to these dashboards. And for online activity, we would have plenty of dashboards here that would capture my online unpaid fees, my online applications for building, my online applications for zoning. So we have lots of tracking tools within here to keep seamless communication between you and your citizens, which you can change at any time. Lots of freedom here to design your public access and exactly how you would like to. I want to remind you guys that if you have questions on any of this, please enter them into the questions tab. We will get to them at the end. That's going to be on your GoToWebinar tabs at the top. It's a conversation box with a question. Feel free to drop them in there and I'll review them for the end. But for now, I'm going to kick it over to Brian to talk about Laserfiche document management and how that software manages public access as well.
Thanks, Maria. So yes, I'm going to take you guys through Laserfiche real quick and the public side of Laserfiche, the ability to provide access to public records through the Laserfiche system. So I'm going to quickly just talk about Laserfiche a little bit. Laserfiche is a repository where, of course, I can put all my records. A lot of you are familiar with Laserfiche, but you're maybe not familiar with the ability to provide access to a constituent through the Laserfiche public portal, or to allow you to interact with the public through the Laserfiche forms portal. For those of you who aren't familiar with Laserfiche, it can hold any kind of data. A lot of the data that we talk about is records management type data, permanent records or under a specific retention schedule. But a lot of it is public. And I have the ability with Laserfiche to provide security. So it has DoD compliance as far as security is concerned, a lot of versions of Laserfiche. I also have the ability to redact out pieces of the data as well, so that I can provide that data to somebody without having them see sensitive information. And it also does, of course, have an index. That index can be used for a variety of different things, including the ability to attach to a third-party system like GIS or a building system like Municity, for example, via something like a parcel ID or an address. And it also does have the ability, obviously, to put information under retention. So that if I wanted to put specific records under retention, I could go ahead and do that as well with Laserfiche system. This is a really quick basic introduction to Laserfiche. It is a folder-based application, so it allows me to provide security at the folder level or at the document level, providing kind of several different views into the system, like a full admin view, who can see pretty much everything, do everything, as well as specific read-only views for internal staff, as well as additional read-only security for the public access to the records. And so we're going to go through several different websites now, and there's different ways that you can provide access to the constituency. You provide access directly from your website. And again, there's a variety of different ways to do it. You can have just a simple link like Sunset Valley has here. And when I click on that link, it brings me into the Laserfiche system and then allows the constituent to either search or simply just browse the folder structure. That's the nice thing about Laserfiche. It does put things into folder containers, allowing somebody to simply just look up a specific year of council minutes, search it, or review the actual minutes themselves. And you can also set it so that I can just download a copy of that record directly from municipality. And that really does, as Wayne and Maria both mentioned earlier, provide access to constituents for transparency purposes. It provides 24/7 access. But the goal obviously is to cut down on people coming into the office, cut down on phone calls and questions, as well as cut down on the dreaded public records requests by providing information to the constituency. So we're going to go over several more different ways we can do public access. This is for Benton, and they have a slightly different way to do it. You click on the link there on their website, and then you can go into specific portions of the repository based upon a department, like the city clerk, for example. When I click on city clerk, then I can see clerk-related documents, agendas, ordinances, minutes, resolutions, et cetera, et cetera. And I can go ahead and browse that structure. Again, looking at whatever I want to look at, searching if I want to, as well as the ability to, of course, download a record directly from the website. So again, you don't have to do it any one way. You can do it different ways on your website. It may depend upon the actual department itself on how I access those records within the Laserfiche system. Like for the town of Queensbury, I can click on planning board meeting minutes here on their website and be brought directly into planning board minutes. So I can set up the link so that it goes directly into a specific portion, not just departmental, but also directly to the minutes themselves if I wanted to. So I can go directly over to a specific portion of the repository. And I can sweep up documents based upon something such as a development project. So we all have those development projects that tend to have a lot of questions that come in, a lot of scrutiny, maybe a lot of public records requests. How can I cut down on that? This is a particular client that has set up those development projects that receive a lot of scrutiny right here on their website. When they click on the constituent or the builder or the planner clicks on that link, they can be brought to a secondary link that gives them a blurb about what that particular project is, then allows them to, in this license, that's really just limit, but it would allow them, if I had enough licenses, I could get in there and view all the records for that particular development project for 900 King Street. I'll come back later and see if I got the 3 licenses. Okay. You can also do it all the way down to the document level. This is for a GIS system, which tend to be fairly easy to integrate with. And you may say, well, why do I care about a GIS system? I may have documents that cross-pollinate between systems. So if I am a constituent or who builder, whatever, and I look up a parcel here on the GIS system and I click on said parcel, there's shared data between the 2 systems. I may not want to store images in the GIS system because it's not technically a records management system. But any archived records I may want to put into the records management system or the Laserfiche repository for safekeeping. They may have permanent status or semi-permanent status, and I want to keep them in the system. It also works for not having duplicate records. I may have a single record that's the master record, but I want to be able to access it from that third-party system. So I have a parcel ID on the screen right now. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I can put metadata on any Laserfiche folder or record within the Laserfiche repository. So when I click on other property-related documents, what that does is it loads up the Laserfiche public portal, and it shows that particular individual who's researching that particular parcel within GIS, all of the legacy documents that have public access via the Laserfiche system. So again, I can utilize that Laserfiche system to provide access to specific records all the way down to a specific document or documents within the Laserfiche system. So one thing I wanted to mention real quick too is the fact that you can put any kind of records into Laserfiche. It doesn't care, maps, obviously minutes, agendas, ordinances. But if we look here at the city of Salem, which is one of the oldest cities in the country, we can click on city records, We can browse all the way down into town records. And we can go all the way down to minutes and stuff like that from 1634 and up. So you can put anything within the Laserfiche public portal and provide that constituent access to those particular records in a read-only way. So, and again, via security, I can prevent users from making any kind of changes or viewing specific documents or viewing specific folders within the Laserfiche system. So again, any kind of information can be provided to the constituency, provided that it's public access. So we're going to talk a little bit about Laserfiche forms now. Again, we're going to integrate with a third-party system, this time Esri. So I have an Esri map on the screen for the city of Monroe. I can actually, as a user, browse this particular blight enforcement map, which provides me specific metadata on blighted properties within the city. If I click on a specific blighted property here on the map, I get a little bit of information about it. But the actual blight tracking record lives in the Laserfiche system. And it may have first started with a Laserfiche form, for example. So when I click on this link, it will bring me into the Laserfiche public portal, and it will show me, this is via forms, that this notice came in. So we can see the last activity on it, and we can see the steps that are currently being taken to mitigate that blight within the city. So again, I can connect the Laserfiche public portal or through a forms process to third-party systems and provide constituents access to specific records based on something like a specific address, as you looked at here with this blight tracking system that Monroe has. So now we're going to look at pure Laserfiche forms processes. People don't realize a lot of times that Laserfiche forms, not only is it a forms, internet-based forms, which a lot of you are used to, but it does provide access to the Laserfiche repository, which means that I can do certain things with that particular record once it's in the Laserfiche system. Again, it can act as a simple link on your website. I can click on that particular link, be brought into that Laserfiche form. These are very malleable as far as the form is concerned. I can create a form that has specific mandatory fields, maybe a little bit of city code in there. Any mandatory field with a red asterisk would need to be filled out by the constituent. I can upload copies of records. I can sign. I can CAPTCHA. This is a live form, but if I did fill out the entire form, I would get a submit button. My point is this: I can apply for this license. I can upload my certificate of completion, but when I actually hit submit, it's going to go into the city, but it's going to go directly to, in this particular case, the zoning department. They are then going to review that license, make sure they're within the specific zone they need to be within, and then provide that constituent information as to whether or not they've been approved or not for that license. And people will ask, well, can you take payment through Laserfiche forms? And yes, you can take payment through Laserfiche forms if you so desire. And you've already got some kind of forms processor. There are specific forms processors, credit card processors that will work with Laserfiche forms. So if you're ever curious about it, please let us know. We can research it for you. So, but anyways, I can take up all the information, provide that copy of my certificate of completion, send it into the zoning department, and then if I'm eligible, receive my permit back from the zoning department. Everything is trackable, and then that license, that copy of that certificate of completion and then license can end up in the Laserfiche repository. So everything is in one place, and then I could actually time it if I needed to. If there was a specific number of years that this certificate lasted, I could time it 2 years out and say, hey, this particular address, which I've already collected all the pertinent information, indexed it, and then placed it into the repository, can remind me that this address has a certificate of completion that needs to be updated or a permit that's about to expire within the Laserfiche system. So you can also, again, track it and then put it in there for records management purposes. Maybe it has a specific retention period on it, et cetera. And you can do rather complex processes within Laserfiche as well. This is the ability to provide public records requests. So when a constituent clicks on that particular link, people can fill out a request for public records. Everything, again, with a red asterisk, is a mandatory field. It does have the ability for drop downs and radial buttons, et cetera, et cetera. Once I filled it out, I then submit that information into the town, where it then is it actually is routed into the specific department. So it will come in for a classification. Once somebody has classified that request, who is it for? The building department, the clerk, etc., both, whatever. Then that can be routed to that particular department or departments for fulfillment. Once that record has been either found or not found, it can be updated with a copy of the record or a denial, which can be aggregated through the actual form itself. You can tell them why it was denied. Say this is a county record, not a town record, and that information can be sent back to the constituent on the back end. So again, there's a variety of different ways that you can provide services to the constituent through Laserfiche public portal, as well as Laserfiche forms. So I am now going to minimize this and see about kicking this back over to Wayne at this point in time.
Thanks, Brian. Okay, now we're gonna pivot over to zoning codes. Zoning codes are notorious for being very deep, very detailed, and from the constituents or the public standpoint, very hard to understand. Even those of us who make a living administering these codes, it takes a while to get through what we need. I happen to be the chairman of my local planning board. I deal with, doing lots of code research for site plan reviews that come in front of us. So I'm quite familiar with this process. And even I find it time consuming. How we would normally go through from a public user's perspective, even if we have excellent tools like eCode 360, where you're seeing on the screen right now, even if we have excellent tools with great searching, let's say I were a business owner wanting to look at putting a car wash into a city, and I just start with a search such as car wash. I'm going to get search results. I'm going to get hand washing. I'm going to get automotive related uses. I'm going to get swimming areas. I'm going to get sanitary waste. If I don't know exactly where I'm going through experience, it's going to take a while. And what that results in, after our research shows, after about 30 seconds, that results in a phone call or an email inquiry or a stop in the office to answer questions. Even if you are adept at navigating a code and you know what sections to go through in the zoning, let's say you do know what base districts to go to, you still are navigating multiple resources like the traditional zoning map you see here. This is actually a really high quality zoning map. I see a lot of zoning maps online that are incredibly blurry. They're pixelized, if they're even online at all. If they're not, come into City Hall to see the zoning map. This zoning map, even though it's incredibly high quality, there are many streets that do not have street names, or you have to zoom in and out, which click, 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 click. It's time consuming. You're referencing, you're going back and forth between a PDF, a code portal. It's a time consuming process, which even if the average public user manages to find their way to a base district, it often results in confusion. It's almost as if somebody that does a little bit of research almost is more dangerous than somebody who does none. Because if they just read the base district, they're missing out on some of the essentials, like what do environmental overlays? What are the effective environmental overlays? What are the effective other zoning overlays we have? Things like downtown business districts, incentive districts. There are many different overlays that can have an effect on a base district. What we believe to be the answer is a unified solution which takes the text of the code and organizes it in a fashion tied to a jurisdiction's GIS assets to offer quick answers to basic zoning questions. So MapLink is a product that is 100% built and updated by ICC Code Solutions for our clients, where we take the zoning codes we're already hosting or another third party's hosting, and we combine them with the GIS assets of the jurisdiction to create a much more efficient way of reading zoning codes. So there are essentially two questions that make up the vast majority of zoning code inquiries. The first is, what can I do with my property? This assumes somebody already owns a parcel in a jurisdiction and they want to change something about the built dimensions or the use of their property. The second question is, where can I put my business? This is a developer looking to come to your town and they have a particular use in mind and they need to select a parcel. So let's take a look at that type of search first. Here you see the typical base zoning districts. I want to give you a little lay of the land of the MapLink structure. Here are all the base zoning districts, but like I already said, base zoning does not contain all of the answers. We also have overlay districts. We have things like airport development district, runway zone, theater district, waterfront redevelopment overlay, other map features such as flood zones, inland wetlands. We can turn these on and see areas where we have flood zones and inland wetlands. All of these overlays have an effect on how you read the zoning code, which in the traditional way, it means jumping back and forth between different sections in a code, and more importantly, knowing how to navigate those codes. When we're administering a code from inside the staff of a jurisdiction, we do it through habit. We get to know it, but the public does not have that experience. They're not doing this every day for a living. So we're providing them a means to get this information they need that does not rely so heavily on the limited resources we have within jurisdictions. So let's go back to that search by use function. Let's say I'm looking to put a business in the town of Stratford. Now, right now, you can see all of the zoning districts are represented. They're turned on, if you will. But if I wanted to put a car wash in, all I need to do is click on car wash, and you can immediately see the map has cleared out all of the parcels where that is not an allowed use, and I can focus only on the parcels that are represented in these commercial and industrial districts. So if I want to select a parcel, I can select a parcel. I can dig down into it. And by the way, I can also see car wash requires a special permit for this use. So I am not only telling them what's allowed, I'm already starting to get into the procedures involved. And if I click on show description, I can get a description of what that special permit process is. I'm seeing the commercial and industrial districts. I've clicked on a parcel. It's telling me the owner name, the address, parcel number. All of this data comes from the build that we do at ICC Code Solutions. We tap into your tax authorities, such as your county parcel maps. We tie into the live parcel data that is maintained by your jurisdiction, parcel maps, parcel data, such as owner names, acreage. We tap into GIS assets that contain the zoning shapefiles. We build all of this and maintain this for you. So we can see we're also in a flood zone. Flood zones, you can see even in this parcel, it's only part of the parcel, but that qualifies it. So flood zones very much may affect things about the zoning code for this parcel. I can create a parcel details page, which is going to give me details about zoning only for that parcel with all of the overlay conditions that exist on that parcel. So if I dig down into my zoning details, I can look at the description. I can look at all my dimensional standards. And by the way, these are dimensional standards that are absolute based on all of those overlays that apply to the base district. I'm not reading just the base district. I'm reading the effect that that flood overlay may have had on things like building height or maximum allowable buildable area on that lot. I'm going to see all of the dimensional standards. I'm going to see all of my land uses. So if I look into commercial, I can go to, I was interested in car washes. I can see what my parking, passenger loading, merchandise loading. And if I need to understand more about that, I can click on these links, and our team actually creates deep links that drive the user deeper into the code, exactly where that issue is addressed in the code. This system significantly cuts down on the amount of time it takes to get to answers in a zoning code. This does not replace your municipal GIS. This actually functions as a code reading aid to your existing zoning portal. And if you see value in providing a faster, easier access into your zoning code online in the traditional portal basically functions as the repository for all of the code content which goes into MapLink. We often hear from our code hosting customers who employ MapLink that they basically stop using the online code portal to read the zoning code, and they rely strictly on MapLink. We've done some case studies. MapLink saves the average client who we've done a case study on between 20 and 40 hours a week in not answering basic zoning questions, such as residential users who want to know if they can put a home occupation business in their residence. Let's say they want to have an accounting business or a medical doctor. They want to open an office. That's the perfect type of question that your community can self-help. We also do things like build all of your procedures into the site. So if people want to understand more about the coastal area management, that may be referenced somewhere in the development process. Coastal area management, I can click on that, and our team creates a link, full text to eCode 360, and we're simply serving up the text of the code and the procedures that exist in a way that makes it far faster and easier to access. The last thing I will say about this system is most people who get a quote on this system are absolutely dumbstruck with how cheap it is. It's incredibly affordable, and that's basically because it's a win-win situation where ICC Code Solutions has a staff full of code editorial experts who are quite adept at reading through a code, creating linkages, and feeding that back in an intuitive way through this interface. So because of the many years of experience we have, we're able to offer that build and maintenance service at a very cost-effective price point. So we have a few minutes left for any questions. I didn't see any questions come in, but if anybody has any questions that come up later, and definitely, James, jump in if you see differently. But my email address is on the screen, wchilds@iccsafe.org. You can also learn about all of our digital solutions at the URL listed below, icccodesolutions.org. Any municity questions from our host today, Maria, M. Dalal at iccsafe.org, and Brian Hoodie for Laserfish questions can be contacted at bhoodie@iccsafe.org. So take down those email addresses if you think you may have a question. James, did you see anything out there that I might not be seeing?
No, I have not seen any questions come in yet, but we do have a couple
Okay.
minutes left if anybody wants to throw anything in there.
All right, it doesn't look like we have anything else coming in, so maybe Brian, Maria, we may have covered a little bit of everything. If you're interested in any of these solutions, how we might be able to help you, or if you just have general questions about it, again, feel free to reach out to us. We hope that you enjoyed today's webinar on modernizing public access. We believe these tools really do help us to meet the needs of our constituents, and these solutions definitely align with ICC Innovation's mission to make our communities safer places, places that work better for everybody. So team, anything from Brian, Maria, James, anything else before we sign off?
I don't think so. Just reiterating that if anyone has any questions at any point about anything you saw today, please reach out to us. We are always happy to help.
Yep.
Thank you for spending your valuable time with us, everybody. Have a good afternoon.